Hello, my name is Brian Downey, and I'm currently maintainer on the KC-10 extender aircraft. I'm here today to talk to you about my service in the Air Force so far. Then I will share with you more in depth about how I help maintain the KC-10 and how it will help others. Finally, I will talk about some of the biblical men that have served in the military. Before we get going too far, let's start by talking about my service in the Air Force so far. I've been serving in the Air Force now for almost 15 years. I started just after graduating high school. After basic training, I went to my first duty station at Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, where I spent 4 years there and helped maintain the HH-60 Pavehawk helicopter, which you see here. After being there for a while, I decided I would try recruiting, so I applied and was then stationed in Sandusky, Ohio, for the next 4 years. Before I was done recruiting, I received orders sending me to McGuire Air Force Base, which is where I'm at now. Serving the Air Force does have its challenges, such as being moved away from your family, whether it's moving away from home or being deployed for a short amount of time. I've traveled all over the world, seen many different cultures since I've joined, and my family's been there through most of it. That's a little of my history in the Air Force so far. Now let's go into how I maintain the KC-10, which you see here, and how it helps and impacts the lives of others. On the KC-10, I'm responsible for maintaining the instrument and flight control systems. Some examples of these systems that I work on are autopilot, auto throttles, engine indicating systems, and inertial navigation systems. So for example, on here, all the instrumentation you see there is what I'm responsible for. So when a pilot gets ready for takeoff for a mission and one of these systems has a malfunction, I have to go out and fix it so they can continue on their way. By doing this, it enables the KC-10 to take off on time and get fuel to another plane in the air. So my job helps others by allowing them to do their mission from delivering fuel to a fighter aircraft that in return will be assisting troops on the ground in harm's way. Another major benefit of refueling planes in the air is that it prevents the flight crews from having to touch down in harmful areas and keeps maintainers and flight crews further from direct combat zones. This is one of the reasons why so many people are more enthusiastic about joining the Air Force than other branches. That's a lot of information about myself and the Air Force, but lastly I'd like to share with you the main reason I find great joy and pride in my profession. I'm going to share with you an overview of some biblical men that have served in the military, as Scripture affirms that service in the military is something that God honors. While researching military service in the Bible, I found a blog on ChristianFighterPilot.com that goes through a list of biblical men that served in the military, such as Abraham, who is one of the earliest recorded generals in history. Some other very well-known early Old Testament military heroes are Moses and Joshua, who led the Israelites in countless battles and ultimately into the Promised Land. Probably the most popular and well-known biblical battle was that of David and Goliath, and David, a man after God's own heart, went on to lead countless, often violent, devastating battles under the Lord's very command in his defense of his nation Israel before and after becoming king. As General William J. Harrison said, thus to claim all war is evil is to say that not only that God enjoined Israel to sin, but that he did so himself, which is inconsistent with the very character of God. So to sum things up today, I talked about my service in the Air Force so far, such as where I've been stationed and what I've worked on. Then I went on to give you a more in-depth look of how I maintain the KC-10 and how it can help others. And finally, I talked about some biblical men that have also served in the military. I hope this gives you a glimpse into what I have personally done and will continue to do for service for my country, as well as give you a newfound gratitude and knowledge of how God values the service of the military member and what their job entails. Thank you and have a good evening.